Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Hey folks, today we're talking about retiring in 4 years by age 39, multiplying a net worth countless times, and then giving back and helping many, many people with zero real estate experience in some cases become multimillionaires themselves and experience that same multiplying of a net worth. I'm your host, David Ruzicka. You're listening to Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm with Alex Clark today. He is what we call a multifamily mentor with Lifestyles Unlimited. He is also a real estate investor, and he's the guy that retired himself in 4 years by age 39. And so you're going to hear his story, and you're going to hear how he changes people's lives as well. So you really want to tune into this. If you're sitting there and you're living that life of quiet desperation, you're watching the red lights in front of you as you drive to and from work every day, and you're thinking, is there hope out there? We're going to talk about that today, and Alex is going to talk about that. So Alex, just to start off here, tell our audience who you are apart from real estate, where you grew up, education. Just introduce yourself to the folks listening.
Well, hey, David, thank you so much for inviting me onto your radio show. It's awesome. I'm actually coming to you live from an apartment complex office where myself and the team are helping a member buy their first apartment complex. Today is one of their due diligence days. So I will have to admit this is a first.
So folks that are listening, someone, a Lifestyles member, is they want to buy this apartment complex, and you're doing due diligence. Explain to folks listening what that means.
Yeah, sure. So the due diligence is we are now on contract. Again, it's their first time buying an apartment complex as a syndication. And we're going through the units, unit by unit, looking for what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and what smells bad. And then we're checking out the exterior of it, having plumbers scope the lines. Roofers are getting on 100% of the roofs. Pest control are checking out the units, the buildings for termites. We're checking out HVAC units, electrical boxes. We're coming up with landscaping designs, remodeling designs. Tree trimming guys are out here. Just a whole host of teams are coming and going for the last couple days right now, just to make sure that we understand everything that needs to happen as we go to close on this property and as the members raise the funds to take down this property. And
how much, I mean, you're doing a lot of work there, Alex. Obviously, you're bringing your expertise. You've got some decent years of expertise in this area now, and so you're bringing that all to the table. How much of the deal is the member giving you to get you to do all this stuff for them?
Oh, I get none of the deal. This is my way of giving back. Several years ago, Dell, Walmsley, and Lynn Morrow asked me to, since I had retired, and they had asked me if I would consider taking on the mentor role. And of course, I'm so thankful and grateful for this organization that helped me retire from the golden handcuffs of corporate servitude, that I said, absolutely, I'd love to give back. I love to go on to these properties. Man, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing going on these properties. And we bring members, too, with us to do the due diligence and walk it. And they just say, hey, we just want to participate so we can learn more, so we can be better passive investors, better buyers. Yeah, I just do this because I'm passionate about it, and I come from a place of gratitude and thanks for what this organization's done for me, because they've changed my life. And going back to kind of what some of some of the listeners probably want to know, how does a guy get to this point? And just to give you guys a few moments of the genesis of this, I have no real estate background. I've never bought a single-family home for an investment, an apartment complex for an investment before Lifestyles. And one day while driving to my job as a waiter, my car stopped working. Essentially, the transmission went out in rush hour traffic on the side of the road. It was miserable, and it was a very dark time for me. And I saw a super luxurious car go by me. At least that's what I thought it was at the time. And I thought, wow, that's a beautiful exotic. It was just a Mercedes or a BMW, but the way my mindset, this poverty mindset that I had, that's the way I looked at it. And so I knew at that moment I needed to make a shift in my life, because I thought, that person driving that car, how did they do it? What's the difference between me and them? I'm physically able. I have a good mind. I'm motivated. I want to do better. I desire great things in life, right? I have dreams and aspirations. So I did the only thing I knew how to do and what to do, because I didn't understand the rules of money. So I went to the Barnes and Nobles and I got books that said Rich, Millionaire, Wealth. And then I saw one called The 4-Hour Work Week, and I'm like, all right, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see what he has to say. So books like The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door. And I did basically most of what those books said. And they all told me, max out your 401k, invest in a Roth IRA, max out your kids' 529 savings plan, buy bonds, buy gold, buy silver, buy stocks. I did all that. I owned all that stuff, and I maxed it out. And the accumulation of those things, these investments, where I really didn't control the future of them, and I just essentially gave the money to someone else, hoping that they would do what's best for me, but they don't know me. And so then I had a conversation at my JOB at the time with a Lifestyles member. We spent 6 hours in one day talking about it. I devoured everything he had to say. And that month, back in 2015, I went into the Lifestyles 2-day with David Fisher, sat there, and I was hooked immediately. I invested in my first passive deal within 30 days of joining.
Yeah, pause just a second. Within 30 days, you were in a passive deal. A lot of times people will say, how long is it going to take me to get into a deal? And so I want folks to really hear that. It depends on how motivated you are in most cases. I want to hold right there because we're fixing to come up to a break. And what I want to say to you folks that are listening, Alex is a very, very motivated guy, and he's driven. Another one of our members by the name of John, who's out of the Dallas office, he joined, and what took him 55 years to accumulate, he retired himself with that in just 4 years, doubled his net worth. And he's a very passive investor. So you can do this, whatever level you are on. Hang on with us through the break. You're going to hear the rest of Alex's story and how he turns regular folks, in many cases, into millionaires.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Folks, I'm your host, David Ruzicka. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're talking with Lifestyles Unlimited mentor, multifamily mentor, Alex Clark, a guy that retired himself in 4 years when he joined Lifestyles Unlimited and now has helped many people become millionaires through their real estate investing. And right before the break, I wanted to make a point, and I did. I said, Alex is a very driven guy. Maybe you say, I don't know if I'm as driven as Alex. Well, one of our very passive members, he says, I'm a very good, lazy, retired guy. He joined Lifestyles Unlimited, began investing in passive deals. What took 55 years, net worth that took him 55 years to accumulate, he doubled that in just 4 years. He made the same amount of money in 4 years that he had made previously in 55. And so what I'm saying is, what is stopping you? You can do this. And so, Alex, you right before the break, you talked about that trigger moment when you had a kind of a beater car, and I think you said it was overheated. You're on the side of the road, and you're watching Mercedes go by, and you're thinking, oh, my goodness, that's the life. I need to figure out how to get there. And you went on a journey, bought every book that had millionaire or rich on it, and started accumulating money through the regular ways that folks do in the 401k and your 529 college savings plans and gold and bonds. I remember you said you even had bonds with the coupons, right?
I did, yeah, paper bonds. Yeah. I had like a 2-inch stack of them. And man, talk about feeling so wealthy, these double E bonds where it would show like a $500 value. But I only bought it for half of that. And it was saying, hey, your future value in like 20-something years will be $500. And I'm like, yes. Man, in my mid-60s, I'm going to crush it. And it's only like 35 years from now, but that's okay. I got to plan forward in 35 years.
Only 35 years from now. That's hilarious. And so you joined Lifestyles you decided, okay, I'm going to buy an apartment complex. You did something that's really crazy. I mean, the first thing you did that's crazy is you rated your 401k. And when I say that, I always say there's some people in the audience that are listening and they're having the vapors right now. I mean, oh my goodness, you don't touch the 401k. That is your security blanket. That is life. That's the thing that is going to keep you going. But you did something even crazier. You rated your kids' 529 college savings plan. And so folks listening, either Alex is a scammer and the worst dad in the world because he stole his kids' money to enrich himself, or, and by the way, hint, he's on the radio show and this isn't that kind of radio show. So there's a hint that that's probably not the case. Or he had a very, very compelling reason to pull that money out of that 529 college savings plans and we're going to help you right now as you're listening, because Alex is going to explain why he did that. Tell folks why you did both those things, Alex.
Yeah, sure. So what I had learned from other members in the group. Now, guys, I want everybody to understand that the things I'm sharing with you, these concepts and a lot of things that I've done, are not original concepts that I created that are original. They're original to me, but not to the group. And that is one of the magical things about our group is 50,000 strong. And you have all these concepts, these ideas, these people with just amazing motivation, inspirational, extremely intelligent. And I would have these conversations with our group, which is all like-minded. So I'd have these conversations with these rock stars and I would say, what's the secret sauce? What did you do? How did you get started? And they would share these ideas, and I was like, a 401k? Okay, well, let me think about this. So my 401k, how long would it take it to double from where it was then to where I needed it to be so that I could comfortably retire? Well, I mean, again, it was like you retire in your 60s, and I'm in my 30s. I'm like, mid-30s, holy cow, man. So I got to wait 30 years? No, you don't. What I figured out is I took 90% of that money out of there and the remaining 10% when I retired. And there was a reason for that. But so I took that 90% out of there and I invested it into an apartment complex as a lead investor. Now, guys, a lead investor is someone who goes out there and works with a multifamily agent to go buy a property. And then I do what's called a syndication, where I bring in passive investors who, again, are like-minded, who go through our passive investor certification, which is open to all members, all preferred members. And they come in and they put their money in there, and as low as $25K all the way up to hundreds of thousands. It just depends where you're at. And so then I syndicated this deal. We all went in and bought this property. We got it running. And then 6 months later, when my property was stabilized, running really well, all the team members understood my mindset, methodology, and motivation on how I wanted this property to run for the benefit of the passive investors who are always our number one concern. And so I did that with the 401k money. But then I was like, okay, I want to do this again. What other money do I have? And I had my Roth IRA cashed out, paid the penalty, because I figured out how to double it within 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years, and I did it. And then I said, okay, I used that money. I need some more.
Alex, let me ask you something. Now, you figured out how to double it in 2 to 5 years. Are you special? Is that something that's common with Lifestyles members, or are you just like the superstar that's able to figure this out?
It is not special. Again, it goes back to we have a roadmap that has been created for us. And the program is designed so that you follow the roadmap that works, from picking your members that you want to invest with, as far as those who go through the passive investor certification, picking wall paints, contractors, going through the due diligence process. We have all the classes on it, the documents on it, the teams, the operation consultants, everybody needed to guide you through the path. And we are all like-minded, and we follow the roadmap. We do not reinvent the wheel.
That's great. So you're not special in doing this double in 2 to 5 years. You took the money from the Roth IRA, and then you took the money from the 529 college savings plan. Is that?
Yes, this is very special, right? I get these, when I tell this story to members on stage from time to time, I get these little scowls when I say that. And I always pause, and I want them to process what I'm saying. But the next thing that they have to understand, that is the most impactful experience I've had so far in one particular deal, that we had a cash on, it was me and a buddy who bought a property. We had a cash on cash return of 30% annualized. Okay, 30%, guys. Imagine that. And then we sold it after a couple years, and we 4X'd our money. And I used my kids' 529 savings plan, and I 4X'd it in 2 years on one deal.
4X means four times. So $100 was $400.
Correct. That's exactly correct. Now, my kids are highly intelligent, and they prefer schools that have a single-digit admission rate. So those Ivy Leagues, the Harvard, the Yales, the Dukes, just, hey, for all the Texas people, your A&M, your TCU, all those. They want those schools, right? Those aren't cheap schools. Now, when I sold that property, do you think I would have a problem paying for their education? When I grew up and when I went to college, my parents weren't able to pay my education. I grew up in abject poverty, absolute poverty, bottom 10%. That's how I grew up, because we didn't understand the rules of money, right? And so I still had student debt that I had to pay for, but I didn't want that for my kids. I wanted something better that I could give them instead of them being saddled with $100,000, $200K in school debt by the time they got out.
Pause right there, Alex. We're going to hear the rest of it on the other side of the break. We're talking to Alex Clark, multifamily mentor with Lifestyles Unlimited, rated his kids' school fund, completely funded his kids' schooling in 4 years. Stay with us through the break. Remember, we are working on your financial freedom.
Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Today we're talking about rating the kids' school fund, completely funding his kids' schooling in 4 years. I'm your host, David Ruzicka. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, and I am with Lifestyles Unlimited Multifamily Mentor, Alex Clark, and we're going to hear how he actually helps people change their lives. Before we get there, I want to encourage you, go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. If you have never been to one of our free workshops, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's taking a step in the right direction. It's lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. Sign up for one of the workshops. They are online. I'm one of the presenters. I am not presenting one in the next week, but we have one next Thursday at noon, March 30th. My teammates do a great job, and so go ahead and sign up for that. It's online. You can watch it in your pajamas, and you'll get an all-encompassing view of what Lifestyles Unlimited is. And, of course, we want you to join. We want you to become part of Lifestyles Unlimited. So you can do that as well so that you can get on the same path as Alex here that we're talking to today. So, Alex, you rated the kids' school fund. You had a compelling reason to do that because you were able to double your money, and you took care of their school. And one of your kids just got accepted. I'm going to let you announce it. What happened?
Yeah, so we operate our household kind of like a corporation. I spent, like I said earlier, 21 years in corporate servitude, middle management, had all the perks, the bonuses, the six-figure income, just a lot of great things going for me at the time. But again, I lived the life that I thought I was supposed to live, and working, 60 hours a week, investing in the 401k, the grind, wake up to do the same thing over and over and over every day. And it just wasn't great. So we decided to make a change in our life and figure out how can we have a better life? Well, some of the ways to have a better life is creating a vision. And before I finished doing like what most people think are crazy financial moves, we put together vision boards. We got performance planners for myself, my wife, my two kids. We set family goals. We set individual goals. We really started planning things out. And so one of the main things in our house is that my children don't watch TV during the week, and they focus on their schooling. Their schooling is their job. And their daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly grades, annual grades, that is their performance review. So that's how we live our lives. And so my children are high performers. They're very intelligent, thanks to their mom. I'm going to give her all the credit for that. And because of that, and because of the work ethic in our family and them being self-starters and self-motivators after years of encouragement, of course, like any parent has to do with their children, my son he had applied to the U.S. Naval Academy, and 5 weeks ago, our our congressman called our house Friday evening from Washington, D.C. to announce his acceptance into the U.S. Naval Academy class of 2026.
That is exciting. I mean, that's really powerful. I didn't know a congressman actually called you to announce that as well. That's a big deal.
Called our cell phone. Yes, absolutely did. It was huge. I mean, one of our greatest honors, and something our son has worked very, very hard for. But again, these kind of things are learned, right? And so when children see their parents doing it, they learn it and they do it.
And so the big takeaway there, folks, is what I want you to hear is Alex, their whole family made a vision board. They had a big why, something that motivated them for what they were doing. I know your wife was Teacher of the Year, and the same year that she was Teacher of the Year, she quit her job. She said, I'm done with the job because you had retired her and yourself in 4 years. Talk for a minute, if you will. First of all, let me repeat that. Alex retired himself in 4 years, folks. You need to hear that. That's the kind of thing you can do as well. If you have a big why and if you focus on that why. So, Alex, talk a little bit about what hope looks like and what does it take to get hope?
Wow. Hope is something that most people lack. It's a sad, sad fact because, again, we're the world we live in wants us to think that there's only one way to live and to be ultra consumers and to spend everything we get so that we can live in the now in our fast food, move quick society, right? Keeping up with the Joneses. But what I want everybody to consider is if you were to spend more time focusing on yourself than you do worrying about who got kicked off the island on some stupid TV show, imagine what your life could be. So how do you do that? Create a vision board. If you were to take this 3 by 4 foot board and you were to go online, go to Uncle Google and type in Lambo, yacht, jet, helicopter, Rolex, anything in the world you wanted, if money was no issue, you put it on that vision board and you think, what would it take to get these things? And again, I want you to think big, right? Money's no issue, okay? And then what do you think it's going to take to get that? And then you work backwards from there. And then you then you start working out of a performance planner. And then within your performance planner, you set daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, 3, 4, and 5 year goals. Life, guys, is a cinch by the inch, right? If you make constant small improvements in your life, but you have to have goals. Without a vision, the people are lost. So create a vision for your life. Spend time on it. Spend time with people that might make you feel economically uncomfortable, that they've achieved so much that you feel like you don't belong. Guys, Dave, let me just tell you, I was invited, kind of asked to be invited to a get-together with 5 guys, multimillionaires, ran huge portfolios of apartment complexes in our group. They were so generous and so kind. They let me come, let me sit in the group. I didn't belong. I did not belong there. But all I did was sit there and listen for the first 2 weeks the first 2 meetings I was there. I felt like I was the guy who should have been out there detailing their cars and bringing food in for their little meeting. But they were so kind to me because they have this open-minded, benevolent attitude, right? We'll give back. There's so many properties, people. You guys want to invest in something? There's properties right now you can invest in if you're a member right now. Right now, there's tons of them. We have a software that we use called Podium where you can see all the active deals right now, if you're assuming you're connected with the lead, which is a part of being the preferred program.
I want to interrupt you for just, you said you sat with a couple of guys like that. That is the power of Lifestyles Unlimited, and that's one of the keys, is surrounding yourself with successful, like-minded people. Lifestyles is set up to make that happen for you. We have road trips. We have acquisition road trips, educational road trips. We just had our expo. We had close to 4,000 people where you're able to be around exactly the kind of people like Alex and the kind of people that Alex is talking about. And so I want to encourage you in that because it sounds like, where am I going to go find these people that are super successful in real estate that can show me the roadmap? We have that for you. I had one guy tell me maybe 2 years ago, he said, hey, if you ever want to come to San Antonio and hang out with me for a day, you can do it. He's a multimillionaire, owns 40 properties. I said, okay, I'll do it. It's in the middle of COVID. Everything's shut down. We're not doing anything. You're able to do that, to surround yourself with those kind of folks. So that is so powerful. And I appreciate you sharing that, Alex. I want to ask you something. So Del Walmsley always says that and you've explained what it is. We got the lead investor and then passive investors who invest with the lead investor. He gets a small override. He does all the work. They just collect money on the deal, on a multifamily deal. Dell always says the program was developed to protect the passive investor. Can you tell folks what that means?
Yeah. So that's there's a few components that go into it. So what's really important to understand is that we are a group of like-minded investors. That is first and foremost the most important thing. Now, how do we determine who we're going to invest with?
Hold right there, Alex. We're going to come back to that on the other side of the break. Folks, you're listening to Alex Clark, Multifamily Mentor, who has helped many, many people become multimillionaires through real estate.
Del Walmsley on how to live the lifestyle.
I remember a preacher one time, he took over a church. He started giving a sermon, and everybody applauded the sermon, thought it was really good. They congratulated him, but that's really a good sermon. Then the next Sunday, he gave the same sermon again. And they go, yeah, that's a really good sermon. And then the third week, he gave the same sermon again. Finally, the church elders pulled him aside one day and said, hey, do you realize you're giving the same sermon every day? You haven't changed it up in 3 weeks now. And he looks at them and says, yeah, and I'm going to keep giving it until you guys get it. That's the way I feel sometimes. I feel like I've been giving the same sermon for 26 years. And some of you get it, and bless your hearts and souls. Man, I'll tell you, like last night I spent some time with people. There's some great members of Lifestyles. I love them. And the accomplishments that they've made are incredible.
Stay with us for the other side of the break. Remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Hey folks, I'm David Ruzicka. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm with Multifamily Mentor Alex Clark. And he is a guy that gives back as a mentor and has helped many folks change their lives with real estate and retire themselves. Right before the break, I asked, what does it mean to protect the passive investor? The Lifestyles Unlimited, the multifamily portion of investing was set up to protect the passive investor. And we started to answer that, but I want to pause on that for just a second. We've talked a lot of theory. I want to talk really specifically about someone that Alex helped change her life. Her name is Ann Singh. She was on the radio show 2 weeks ago. You can actually go to the Lifestyles website and you can, or podcast, and you can hear her story. Powerful story, just dramatically changed her life. And using something lifestyle she thought was a scam when she first found out about it. But she told the story on the radio, Alex. She gets a call. She finds out that the stairwell on her apartment complex had fallen. Probably know more details than I do. It had fallen. She has the police are on site. An ambulance is on site. The city's on site. She's terrified. She doesn't know what in the world she's going to do. She has no real estate background before this other than buying an apartment complex. The resident was hurt. And she made a phone call to you, and she made a big deal on the radio. She said that she called you maybe at midnight. Tell us from your side what happened with Ann and how that works as a mentor. Explain that to folks.
Yeah, so I do remember that call, and I feel like it was around midnight. I've had actually a handful of those calls. I mean, it's life, right? Things break, things get damaged, crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, her stairwell was actually inspected a few days before and was a sound stairwell.
Yeah, so she calls me, I guess, around midnight and is frantic, upset, and she's like, Alex, the fire department's at my property. And I'm like, is there a fire? She goes, no, my stairwell, from the landing to the second floor collapsed, and a resident was on it or just stepping off of it or stepping on it, something like that. I don't remember the exact detail. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Will you please help me? And I said, all right, absolutely. Tell me where we're at, what's going on. And then step by step, we walk through the process. And you know what the first thing is we have to do is we have to show sympathy and empathy to those who are in need. And the first thing we always have to think about is our residents. We love our residents. We make all these massive improvements on the property for them so that they have a great place to live and they like where they live. And so that was our primary focus. Are they okay? How are we going to take care of them? And she goes, I said, do you want to take care of them? She's like, absolutely. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's make sure we get them out of there. And so the fire department had to bring a ladder truck up there, and they pulled the residents down a couple at a time. I mean, it was a big to-do. And the next thing she did is she got them hotels and got all that laid out until everything was sorted out, fixed, and repaired. And then immediately I shared some of my contacts with her. And actually, I started texting a bunch of guys that have worked for me, contractors, that I've paid these guys millions of dollars. So they know the rule. When Alex calls, they need to answer. And so I started texting them. And you know what happened? Between 12 and 1 a.m., I started getting responses. And I just went down the list of my contacts and just hit every single one of them up. And by the next morning, David, several of them were already out there. I mean, it was just like, boom, yes. Now, guys, let me tell you the 2 keys to success in life. This is very important that everybody understands this. These aren't the only, but these are 2 major keys to success in life. The first one, the most important one, is relationships. If you have relationships, anything is possible. The second one is becoming a subject matter expert on the craft that you are pursuing. Anne had relationships. She called me. Then the next morning we had our operations consultant on with us. She had a heavy understanding of her craft, right? She may not have known everything. I don't know everything there is to know. And one thing that we use in our lives so that we do know as much as possible are the mastermind. You want me to talk about that for a minute, David?
First of all, I want folks to really grab what happened here. Anne was in a situation that I believe many slumlords fall into, and that's why they become slumlords. They don't have a mentor. They don't have anybody to guide them. They're undercapitalized. Things break. They can't fix them, and so they just start avoiding the property altogether. They just come around to pick up the rent, and then they disappear for another 30 days, and they just try to keep people in there. But the difference with Anne is she had a subject matter expert, and she had a relationship. And that's what makes the difference. The right mentor and a good mentor can save you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, actually. I've had that same experience in my own life that Ann had with my mentors. That's what you need. That's why you need an organization like Lifestyles Unlimited. So I just wanted to really kind of punch that point home there, Alex. So go ahead and take us to the next step.
Yeah. So one way, things to think about in this is you asked earlier, how do we protect the passives? Well, again, it's our knowledge. How do we have the relationships by being a part of the group, by coming to the case studies every month, the road trips every month, the education road trip and the acquisition road trip every month. But really what's important is the education. So every passive has access to the passive investor certification. And then our leads like Ann and myself have access to the lead investor training. And so that is the foundation to which we build our empire on. And additional things that we have is we have aspiring leads and leads. And just so that everybody understands the difference, an aspiring lead is someone who's taken the lead certification, who's worked closely with a mentor, and a mentor has blessed them to move forward to do a syndication, right? Bringing their money and passive's money together. And so we have these aspiring lead masterminds every month that these aspiring leads attend, and we talk about anything and everything on their mind. In addition to that, I will bring in experienced leads who've closed multiple deals recently, and I'll bring them in so the aspiring leads can pepper them with questions, and everything is on the table. Nothing's off. Anything they want to know about and ask about, they ask. So it's building their foundation. Right? And then our next level mastermind is our lead mastermind. This is where you bring in those who have closed one deal as a lead and those who have closed dozens. We bring in the big guns, the top dogs, and all the newbies also into that so that we can talk about more advanced topics from HVAC maintenance, the sweat and pipes, the operations, the asset management, anything and everything you can think about that goes on. People, if you've seen it on TV, it's happened on our properties. And you know what? Not one single time did we have a roadblock where we couldn't answer the question. Every question can be answered. Nothing is new under the sun. Now you say, Alex, well, I've never experienced this. Of course not. It's new to you, but not to the group, which this is the power of our group. Imagine having 50 to 100 leads sitting in a room in a big circle talking about their problems and their successes and their ideas and different concepts. Imagine the power of that. Multimillionaires, guys worth over $100 million in the group, talking about their successes, their struggles, right? Every person has successes. Everyone has struggles. And we know how to get through every one of the struggles and how to capitalize on every one of the successes within the group. It is so powerful. And you know who the beneficiary of all this is? The passive investor. Because every single month, the leads send out an update on the asset along with the financials, telling them, hey, here's the rent roll. Here's how many people are in here. Here's how the property performed. Here's how our income's coming in. So clear communication is also a part of what the passive investors receive, which is why we are so successful. We are open to talking about our properties. And then when somebody buys a property, shortly after they do that, they'll come up on stage in front of hundreds of people and they'll talk about, again, here's our struggles and here's our successes and here's how we overcame these and here's how we capitalized on other things.
That's that idea of learning from success. We always hear you should learn from other people's mistakes. That is a middle-class mindset. A millionaire mindset, a real estate investor mindset is learn from other people's successes. And that's what happens within lifestyles. And that passive investor is protected because, like Alex said, you've got all these safeguards, all these opportunities for a lead investor to make sure he is learning from success or she is learning from success all the time. So I hear from folks all the time. They want to wait because of COVID, the price of milk, COVID booster number 327. What would you say to somebody who's sitting out there right now? Give me about 20-second answer. Why should someone get into real estate investing right now? Why should they join Lifestyles Unlimited?
The most important thing and the easiest thing to understand, guys, is when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now. Think about your future. Think about where you could be. Listen to the stories you are hearing. I am just one of many. Success is yours to have if you choose it.
There you go. Thanks so much, Alex. You have a great day.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.